Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm talking about anger and resentment. Now, there's a lot of negative connotations with anger and resentment. Most of us are actually ashamed to talk about the incidents of anger or resentment that we may experience. However, the thing with these emotions are they're perfectly normal if dealt with healthily. However, if we do not deal with them, if we repress them and let them build up and then lash out inappropriately, they can literally consume us alive. They affect us spiritually, they affect us emotionally, they affect us physically and mentally, just leaving us completely drained and disconnected. So, the first thing is being compassionate with yourself for your anger and bringing to it a mindset of kindness and forgiveness, both for yourself and for another person. And it's about realizing that the forgiveness doesn't mean that you're just letting everyone away with everything. It just means that you're letting yourself away from the burden of having to carry the anger and carry the resentment. Just to let you know the difference between anger. Anger is generally an outward exertion, whereas resentment is more an internalized devaluation. However, they're very similar in the sensations that they cause in us and in the emotional response. So I'm going to talk about them just given the one heading anger. So first of all, it's about recognizing the fact that you're experiencing the anger. It's about getting in touch with what triggered it. It's about getting in touch with what it may perhaps be reacting to. So oftentimes our anger is an indication of underlying emotions such as guilt, or sadness, or shame. So get inquisitive with it, explore it, write about it, become aware of what's going on for you, and become aware of whether or not your reaction is appropriate to what's going on in your current reality, or if perhaps you may be reacting to a past event, because oftentimes our anger is an accumulation of stuff that we haven't dealt with, and it can span all the way back to our childhood, and yet we can be taking it out on the wrong person. So it's so important that we learn to explore it from a compassionate perspective. It's then about expressing it. So this is about, allowing yourself to feel it, not denying the emotion. But that doesn't mean that you have to lash out. That doesn't mean that you have to react to everything. It's about recognizing it. It's about honoring it. And then it's about deciding whether or not it's appropriate to take healthy communication to rectify things, or if it's perhaps something you need to meditate through, you need to journal through and resolve just by yourself. And it's about creating a wise mind when it comes to these things. Sometimes it's appropriate to talk to somebody if they're doing something that is really bothering you. Other times it's not. So it's about being able to make that decision, but feeling autonomous in doing so. Examine the role that you have to play in your own anger. Now, this may sound like a fairly odd concept, but it's important to understand that we don't perceive the world the way the world is. We perceive the world the way we are. And oftentimes we are triggered by certain circumstances or by people doing certain things, and our reactions may be a little bit excessive based on our history and on our past events. So it's about creating a self-awareness, in a compassionate manner, and recognizing that some things are going to bother you a little bit more than others. Learn how to slow things down. Be able to take a step back, be able to take a few deep breaths, journal if you need to resolve what's actually going on for you. Slower your reactions. The more controlled you're going to be, the more rational you're going to be, and the less likely you are to be consumed by very, very intense negative emotions. Learn to control the controllables. There's certain things that we will have no control over. Ultimately, the only thing we really can control is ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and our attitude. However, with other people, there's some people that you can talk to. However, the guy that's sitting in front of you in traffic, there's nothing you can really do there. So there's certain things you just have to learn to let go. If anger is something that you are really struggling with, or if any of this resonates with you, get in touch with me on the website. It's fundamentals.ie, or indeed get in touch on Facebook or on Instagram. Both are fundamentals. I've also released a podcast recently with Neil O'Brien covering loads of issues like finding purpose in life, anger, resentment, and lots of other mental health topics. So go check it out. It's called Touchy and Feely. It's on iTunes and Spotify.